There's a showdown happening near the end of the year, and it's Lions versus Hedgehog, Disney versus Paramount, Keanu Reeves versus I don't know who they cast to play Mufasa. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter with That Park Place, and we got a little bit of lighthearted news here, but also how it might affect the Walt Disney Company. As we hinted at in that intro there, we have a famous person from the West Coast here, Culture Casino. Culture, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic, and I you know what, Jonas, you're breathtaking.
You're breathtaking. Let's talk about this news, and let's talk about Keanu Reeves for a moment. Keanu Reeves is going to voice Shadow in the third Sonic the Hedgehog. This by Matt Grober. This is, of course, on several different websites here. Over here on Variety, it's Brent Lang. Over here on The Hollywood Reporter, it's Aaron Couch and Boris Kitt. Let's go with this one from The Hollywood Reporter. Keanu Reeves joins Sonic 3 as Shadow. Paramount will release the video game feature on December 20th. Of course, Mufasa, the Lion King, also comes out on December 20th. Keanu Reeves is speeding along to another franchise with the John Wick star heading to Sonic the Hedgehog 3. He will be voicing the popular character named Shadow, multiple sources tell The Hollywood Reporter. I wonder if, whoa. I wonder if Hollywood Reporter had to be told that Shadow is a popular character, because most people are aware of Sonic, and some people are a smaller percentage are aware of Tails, an even smaller percentage of Knuckles, and an even smaller percentage are aware of Shadow, because you have to have played at least the 3D games to be aware of Shadow. He's a fine character. There's nothing wrong with him. I'm just pointing out that those people who haven't visited Sonic since the 90s might not be aware of Shadow. When the studio debuted the first footage for Sonic 3, there was footage? I wish I could have seen it. This included the revelation that Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey, there's the other headline here. Here's yet another performance by Jim Carrey, a person who keeps threatening to retire from films every 2 years or so, was depressed and out of shape after the events of Sonic 2, but gets his groove back thanks to creating Shadow the Hedgehog, a character first introduced in the video games in 2001's Sonic Adventure 2. The character is in many ways the anti-Sonic, dark and edgy, while mirroring the hero's power. I thought that Mario was the anti-Sonic. Culture, which is better, Shadow the Hedgehog or Mario?
It's a Mario.
My daughter says that Shadow is better than Sonic, and of course that Sonic is better than Mario. She is a Shadow the Hedgehog fangirl, though. Paramount Sonic movie franchise dates back to 2020's Sonic the Hedgehog. By the way, Sonic the Hedgehog was the last movie I saw before the pandemic. Guess what the first movie I saw after the pandemic was, Culture?
Oh, gosh. Something terrible. Eternals?
No, it was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh! Well, that was an easy one. Why'd you give me an easy one?
And then the next one was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Yeah, being a family man, I had only seen 6 movies in theaters, discounting a performance of Batman Mask of the Phantasm here. Relatively new features. I watched 6 movies over the course of 2 years, and 50% of them had Sonic the Hedgehog in them.
Wow.
My family, we're a bunch of Sonic the Hedgehog fans, whether we like it or not around here. This was fascinating to me. My daughter asked me, and I hate to make this video all about my daughter. My daughter was saying, okay, so who is playing Shadow the Hedgehog? And the original rumor was Hayden Christensen, who, of course, is the voice, not the voice of Darth Vader. He was Darth Vader in the prequel trilogy, or Anakin Skywalker in the prequel trilogy. And she asked me, well, can you send me some clips of this Keanu Reeves guy so that I can understand what he sounds like? And for the life of me, I could not think of a good one to send her that would not immediately scare her for what this movie was going to be. I showed her the presentation scene from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
There you go.
She was like, she was not happy about that. Okay. Enough about this. Also, she wanted to know about speed, which that was hilarious to me. Okay, so there's this bus, and it can't go below 55 miles an hour or it'll explode. She's like, that sounds amazing. Yes, they do not make movies like that anymore.
It's true.
All right. Sorry. I'm having too much fun here. Culture, what do you think about Keanu Reeves casting as Shadow the Hedgehog?
I think it's great. He has a very distinctive voice. I think he can play the character very well. He doesn't sound anything like the game character. I don't know that he'll try to even approach that.
Yeah, I don't think he does either. Of course, when I almost said Jim Carrey, when Keanu Reeves tries to go dark, it's a little bit of like a light dark. It's not the darkest dark you can get. It's kind of a light charcoal gray as opposed to like, a big evil voice.
Yeah, I really do feel like he's a good choice, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. What I really enjoy about this, and it at the same time, is it gives him another feather in his cap, because I think being having him introduced to another generation through animation is kind of neat.
Yeah,
That is
I like that as well. Of course,
yeah.
he did do Duke Kaboom in Toy Story
Right.
4,
Yeah.
and I think he did a fine enough job in that. I don't know how much that landed with kids. Most of the Toy Story stuff I see kids interacting with is the first three movies,
Yes.
but he seems to be willing to do kids animation, and doesn't seem like he breaks the bank when he does it. Generally speaking, the load is pretty light for actors when they do voice roles here. Paul Bettany describes it as showing up, recording for about 30 minutes, and then being handed a massive bag of cash. The question that I have, of course, is for a very long time when Disney has put a movie on a specific release date. In this case, December 20th, Mufasa the Lion King, which is the prequel to the live action, which is the reboot of the animated, that is on the same date as Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Just quick take here. Which of these do you think people are going to be more interested in seeing at the box office?
They'll probably want to see the new thing, the Sonic 3. So I think that's probably going to win the weekend.
I think you're right. Well, what about the fact that the previous Lion King live action? I say live action. It's animated. It is 100% animated.
Yeah.
There is not a live action cell. The reboot of the Lion King that Jon Favreau directed, that one made more than $1 billion.
Yes.
But do you still maintain that you think Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is going to outperform Mufasa the Lion King?
Yes. Easily. I
Are-
think I think this is going to have a big. I may be wrong, but I love this as counter programming to that. I think it'll also be a good tester to see just how badly Disney's broken.
Well, first of all, as I've been asking you questions, I need to establish here that I'm just thinking out loud,
Yeah.
because I 100% think that Paramount is going to eat Disney's lunch on
Yeah.
this right here. Paramount has a lot more properties that are more fun to kids right now, even though they can misstep on occasion.
Yeah.
If it was Transformers versus Mufasa, I think that might be a weekend where people might not even go to theaters, even though I hear the last Transformers wasn't that bad. If it was Top Gun, it would be Top Gun winning. If it was
Mhm.
G.I. Joe, not having seen a preview for it, I still think G.I. Joe would beat Mufasa the Lion King. I think a prequel to these much maligned live action films, I just don't think that's where it's at. And Sonic has a fan base. Video game
Yeah.
movies are hot right now.
Yep.
And it's got a comedic lead. Ben Schwartz.
Yeah, everything about these films has been positive on the front side, and they have a lot of lightheartedness, and they're very family safe. And Disney is none of those things right now.
That's a very good point. Yeah, Mufasa the Lion King being directed by Barry Jenkins, who is known for an LGBT drama. I don't think and I nothing against that movie existing or anything about Barry Jenkins or anything like that, but I don't think that ends up giving families the warm feelings that they would need to have about the Disney company, which is what you need when you are marketing off of 90s era nostalgia and music. There is.
What's But see, right now you don't have people questioning whether or not Mario's going to have a bunch of junk in it. Families don't want their kids to see because they don't want to have to explain it. Disney does. Disney has that problem. I mean, we've often talked about that. And so when you look at this property in the last two films, there's not a bunch of junk in that you have to explain to your kids.
Right.
So
There's a single, they have the old Hollywood style of putting a little take that to conservatives. There'll be like one line that
yeah,
only people who are politically informed would get, something that is maligning and quickly, something about climate change or something about how they don't like your president or something like that. That's the
right.
classic Hollywood take that, as opposed to having an entire movie that preaches about how the audience is wrong and how they hate something about you for your immutable characteristics or who you vote for or what religion you're a part of or
Mhm.
anything like that. Sonic the Hedgehog is generally a fun time. There's a little bit of silliness in that, and they have great comedic leads. James Marsden actually does a pretty decent job of being funny in those
He's great.
films. I think he's actually a lot more talented than people give him credit for. That he can do a little bit of drama, he could do a little bit of comedy. Good for him. And of course, Jim Carrey.
Wow.
I think that he could probably, if he wanted to, I bet he could do a string of Ace Ventura style comedies and just light the box office on fire and actually get people back into theaters watching comedies. But he's chosen to do this through Sonic the Hedgehog instead, and we are happier for it.
Yeah.
And Mufasa, the prequel to The Lion King, I don't see it. I don't see the business reason why that needs to exist. And as the guy who is now in charge of Disney live action, much maligned this entire series by saying, our first question is going to be, why does this movie need to exist? The answer is no movies need to exist, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, there's no argument there. I don't even know why you'd try to do this. I mean, so you can introduce the bad guys and make them, I mean, I'm going through my head, like, what's the struggle that Mufasa's got to go through, and how are we going to make the bad guy sympathetic? Because that's really, I'm sorry, Jonas, if I'm writing, something that's not a predictive algorithm script, that's what I'm writing if I'm working for Disney now.
Yeah, well, that is, of course, the problem with the Disney live action remakes is that if you imagine in your own head what it would look like, it's pretty close to what's going to appear on screen. Well, with that being said, we want to throw this to our commenters here. If you have the choice between two films, one of them being Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and the other one being Mufasa, the prequel to The Lion King, which one would you watch? I wish that they would allow us to do polls in our comment sections here, but unfortunately, you're just going to have to do it by commenting, or you could like this video if you like this video, and consider subscribing to That Park Plays for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.